Alright YouTube, David Harry here, and what you are watching right now is Fortnite playing off an Xbox Series X. One side of this split screen is in 4K, the other side is in 1080p. Can you guess which is which before I get to the end of the test? Okay then YouTube, so to the reveal. The left hand side of the video that you've been looking at was in 1080p and the right hand side of the video was in 4K. Now then YouTube, with that all said and done, I bet you there are some people out there who are thinking to themselves, hold on a minute Dave, I've just watched that video in 4K on a 4K computer monitor or on a 4K telly, and I couldn't see any difference realistically from one side of that split to the other. Are you sure you've just shown us 1080p versus 4K? Now, if that's what you were thinking, I don't blame you at all for questioning it, and the reason why is because when I was doing the edit, I too was also questioning the footage, and it's only in one extreme case that I can actually see that there is a difference. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to prove to you that the footage was 1080p versus 4K, and then I will actually show you like the extreme condition where you can see the difference. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly go over what is in the timeline here. So video track 4, let's see, that's my URL at the sides, which means video track 3 is the line down the middle, yes, and then video track 2 is the right hand side here, and video track 1 is the left hand side here. Now video track 2 is definitely the right hand side, because if I switch off video track 1, all we get to see now is video track 2 on the right. And as we know, during that test, I was saying the right hand side was 4K. So let me just show you. So if I right click here, go to properties, as we can see here, 3840 by 2160 is the resolution properties for that particular track. Well, that particular track being that means that it is 4K UHD, or just 4K for short. So we definitely know that that was 4K. Now, some people might be sitting there going, but hold on a minute, Dave, that could have been 1080p upscaled to 4K for the recording. Well, here's something that proves that it can't be. If you have a look down here, the name of the track here, people might be familiar with that. That is the naming structure which is assigned by the Elgato capture software, which basically means the Elgato capture software cannot capture anything other than the resolution that it is set to. So if you set the capture for 1080p, it won't recognize anything coming in on the input unless it is 1080p. And also, if you're trying to record UHD 4K or 4K, if a 1080p signal is coming in, it won't recognize it as 4K. It will switch to 1080. So this kind of guarantees you that I definitely captured a 4K input. I mean, I can tell you I definitely captured a 4K input. I know what I was doing and I captured it. However, the file format itself actually proves that. Now, if I switch that track off and if I switch track 1 on underneath, now track 1 kind of covers everything, as we can see. If I switch on track 2, we will see the right hand side slightly change. There we go, there we go, it's changing. That's because track 2 covers the right hand side. Now, track 1 is the left hand side, and if we have a look here, if I go to properties, we can clearly see that that is 1920 by 1080. So that's 1080p HD. Now, the way that that one was recorded was with a BlackMagic UltraStudio Recorder 3G. So that can only record up to 1080. It's basically, it's impossible. You can't record 4K on that particular interface. Now, there is a slight difference though. This one was recorded uncompressed 10-bit YUV, whereas the other recording for 4K using the Elgato was captured in a compressed format at 420 as well. So there is a difference in the quality of the codec used. However, this is still 1080, as we can see. Now also as well, the way that this was set up in such a way that it could only record an incoming 1080p signal. So basically what I'm pointing out to you here is that between both of these tracks, the way that they were recorded, they can only record exactly what it says that the file is. So the incoming signal for one has to have been 4K and the incoming signal for the other has to have been 1080p. Now that I've explained that, you definitely now know that I've actually recorded 1080p and 4K. So now what I'm going to do is hopefully show you in a particular way how there was a difference. Now this way, I don't know whether you would see this if maybe you blew it up onto a much bigger screen, but if I force the resolution of the timeline to go lower, then the higher resolution version of the two will still look better. Now what I'm going to do, let me find something with a bit of detail. Okay, now see here, if you have a look at the background here, so far what we're looking at is something that effectively looks the same on both sides. You could argue and say that at a push, maybe the brickwork here on the right is slightly sharper than the left, but I don't think it's mega obvious, right? However, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop the resolution of the timeline and therefore the media down to 1/4, right? So when I play back now, we are going to see this in 1/4 of its resolution. Now don't forget, that's 1/4 of both sides. So what's going to happen here, the left hand side, which is HD, is going to drop by 1/4. So that's going to go very fuzzy, as it were. And then the right hand side is also going to drop resolution, but because the right hand side was originally in 4K, it shouldn't drop resolution as badly as the left hand side. Now the other thing as well, at the moment I can't play real time, which is going to help us. So when I go full screen and start playing now, it's going to go through slow, but that's definitely going to help us to see what's going on the screen. So let me go full screen. Now once I go into play mode, quickly look at the brickwork in the back here. Now look how much softer the left hand side is to the right. You can see it there as it's split over the brickwork. Now also as well, as I come up the steps here, look at the sign up there. It's soft there, it's a bit sharper there. It's a bit quick, that one, to notice, but what I will do, I will go back and do that one again. So like I say, what we should do here is look out for the brickwork, and when that white line crosses over these bricks here, look at that. The left hand side is definitely softer than the right hand side. Both sides are much lower resolution than what they really are. However, because one of them is genuinely 4K, even when it drops resolution, it still looks better. So here we go. Oh yeah, and then when I get round here, when we look at the sign on the wall, watch either side quickly of the split screen, and you will see one side does look clearer than the other. Okay, so watch this now. There you go, definite difference there. And now quickly look at the sign at the back. Now watch happens. Watch what happens when there you go. Goes softer, goes a bit sharper there. Okay. Now something interesting from the beginning here. Now when I'm in pause mode, right? In pause mode, it's going to give me full resolution output. So let's go full screen here. Now look at the detail on either side of that split with the spaceship. Now for the best part, that looks identical to me. Now here's the interesting thing, because we are in a quarter resolution, when I start playing now, look at the difference, because it clearly is different. Now look at that, look how much blurrier the left hand side is compared to the right hand side. And don't forget, what we're seeing here is an equal reduction in the resolution of both sides, as in both of them are now playing at a quarter of their resolution, or their native resolution. Now I'm just wondering if there's anything else here that might give us a... Oh yeah, this will be interesting, right? As it goes through this scene here, look at the struts and stuff on the bridge. You'll see some resolution dropping even further on the left hand side. There we go. So the right hand side struts look a bit clearer than the left hand side. Okay. Right, and I think there you're probably seeing as well, actually, you might see the trees and the grass be different as well as it goes through. Yeah, look at that bush. Yeah, you can definitely see things on the left-hand side are definitely blurrier than the right. Don't get me wrong, the right-hand side is also blurry, but because it started off at 4K, I can see it there as well. But because the right-hand side was in 4K to start off with, then yeah, it's not going to be as blurry as the left-hand side. Okay, so there we have it then. So the end result here is very interesting, and that is the resolution of the Xbox Series X in HD is absolutely fantastic anyway to start off with. Although that said, when I'm watching it, when I'm playing, it does feel like it's a lot better in 4K. But then what happened was I went back and watched it in 1080 again and played the game in 1080, and if I've got to be dead honest, I don't think I really noticed that much difference. So I don't know if this is only going to be something that's going to be noticed, say, on something like the Xbox Series X, where its 1080 output is brilliant, because I've got a feeling that what it's doing, it is probably downscaling 4K graphics internally down to a 1080p output. Anyway, I don't know that for sure, so I can't really say whether that is correct or not. However, hopefully the end bit of this particular test has been interesting for people, for them to be able to see exactly how the test had gone on. Alrighty, anyway, if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel and getting all of that bell notification icon. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.